Hi everyone, it's me, Laura, and yes, I am Dead Aspie. And I wanted to make another raw, unedited video because, like, while last week what I talked about there was important and things, I think this is very important as well, and I think it would be better communicated, like, raw and unedited. So, like, this is my attempt at that. I apologize in advance if I am not able to properly communicate what I want to communicate, and also if I end up saying anything problematic, please let me know because I want to learn to do better. I want to try to do my best to. I don't like hurting people, so I want to make sure that I'm doing right by the people who need it. And basically, what I want to say is, the short story is, white people, we need to do better, like way better. Because I found something on Twitter that was very interesting that someone tweeted. And what they said was that apparently people are starting to fall off from the Black Lives movement, Black Lives Matter movement. Um, and by people, I think they mostly meant white people, and that would be very understandable if that's what they meant. And it made me think of, like, the response that we tend to have in this country about school shootings. So, like, at first there's public outrage. It's like, oh my god, how could this happen? And we need to do the gun control and stuff and whatever. And yeah, like, that's valid. But then another party comes in and then brings in something to be the scapegoat. So, in that case, for example, instead of it gun control being the issue, they're like, no, it's a mental health issue, and try to, brush aside, like, gun control talk, which is kind of necessary to have some conversation about that, but no, it's mental health. And that increases, like, the mental health stigma and all that, but that's okay because that means people can keep their guns and whatever. That discourse goes back and forth. Eventually, both sides, they get bored, they stop talking about it, everything goes back to normal, and blah blah blah. We can't do that right now. This is not a good time to be doing that cycle. And that's what seems to be happening with the Black Lives Matter movement, specifically with white people like myself. Um, and I agree totally that we shouldn't be. We shouldn't just stop. Because, yeah, I know initially this was about George Floyd's, like, unjust murder and all that. And yes, the officers involved have been since charged with various charges, which I think last I remember, the charges that they had were actually not very reflective of what happened. So, it's like, cool. That's a good step. And with Breonna Taylor, I think I'm sorry if I got her name wrong. The officers involved also, like, got some disciplinary action, and, like, the guy in Buffalo that got shoved down, and, like, the old man, those officers resigned from that special force, but not from the police force themselves. And I don't know if they I can't remember if they had any repercussions officially yet, but in some of these things it's like, yeah, some action is being taken, like a little bit, and it's like, cool, that's great. It's still not enough because there's a lot more to it than just that. Like, it's not just accountability. It's like you have to look at the whole system because it's kind of a mess. And it's intended to be that way to put people at disadvantage, particularly black people and other marginalized groups as well, but we'll focus on Black Lives Matter because that is the point for now. And obviously you want to, like, look into, helping out disabled black people, transgender black people, queer black people, like, obviously the Latino, the Asian, and the Native communities are important too. But the focus is on Black Lives Matter because they're the ones who get it the worst. I think, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, before I get too far off the point, we're starting to get to that point where people are becoming complicit again, and we can't have that. Especially when white people need to do better. Like, we seriously need to do better. Like, the fight is not over yet. We still have to keep going. And yeah, maybe being on the front lines is not your thing. For me personally, I think I'd be more of a liability than an asset because, like, sensory overload is an issue that I might deal with, and it's not exactly useful for the field. Like, maybe not like at the front field, but I may try to do stuff anyway. Maybe. I will try my best. But there are other ways to help too, like donations, sign petitions, play that video that Zoe Amira posted, because all the ad revenue from that is going towards the Black Lives community. And actually, maybe I'll put that one in the description because that's actually a nice thing. And it's really nice. It's got nice material in it, so why not? But yeah, like, there's many different ways that we can help. And we need to keep doing all of these different ways that we can help. So it's just like we need to continue to do our part, I think is what I'm trying to say. Like, we, white people, we need to continue doing our thing, our way to help. However it is we can. We can't just quit because we're bored with it or something like that, or it's not trendy anymore. No, it's not just a fucking trend. It's like a real world issue that has been going on for hundreds of years. And, like, we've been too, like, complicit. That's, like, the best word I can use to describe, because we have the privilege to walk away from this if it makes us uncomfortable. Black folks do not have that privilege at all. Even in their own homes, some have been attacked and murdered by police. In their own homes. So they live with this every moment of their lives. We do not. So we need to listen to when anybody in the Black community speaks up about this shit. And I mean, like, really listen to them. You need to understand, as best as possible, that this is not okay. It never was okay, and it never will be okay. And the only way we're going to make that change, like one of the only ways, I think, but I could be wrong, is that we need to step up too. Because, I don't know if you know this, but white people tend to listen more to other white people. More than they would, like, another community that actually deals with this. I don't know why they would, but that's ridiculous. But it happens. And that's sort of why I'm doing this, is because I figured, okay, I am a white person. I have the social privilege that this doesn't really affect me because of the color of my skin. It may affect me from other aspects of my identity and person, but that's beside the point. The point is that I pass well enough in multiple categories, and I'm white, so I don't have to deal with this because of the privilege I have. But I'm not going to sit here and ignore what's happening and pretend it's not and just go back to the usual shit. No. Whatever it is that you can do to help, just fucking continue doing it. It's important. Like, amplify Black community voices. Like, support Black artists, support Black influencers, or, you know, like, actually treat them like fucking human beings. Like, literally anybody else. It's not that hard when you really practice it. Because, yeah, it might take some practice because you have to unlearn a lot of shit. I'm still unlearning a lot of shit. Like, not just in racism, but also ableism and things like that. Like, I've been still unlearning that, and, I'm like, be open to learning new things, Like, educate yourselves. I think one thing I've seen expressed is that people in the Black community are tired of explaining themselves because they've been doing it for a long fucking time. So that's where you can step in to educate yourself. Now, do it from reliable sources, because there are unreliable sources out there on the internet that you shouldn't look into. But find the sources that are reliable, that are no bullshit, and are not like, just like they're gonna give you the truth. Basically, you want the truth. And we have the capability to explore the wonderful world of the internet and find this information. Personally, what I do, I follow folks on Twitter who are in the Black community, in the Native community, the disabled community, artists, and all sorts of stuff. Like, not entirely intentionally, but I happen to find them, and it's like, hey, you seem really cool. I want to see what you do. And you'll be amazed at what you learn from some of these people. I've learned a lot about, some ableism and disability advocacy, and, even what the Black community goes through, the Native community goes through, and the DID community. Like, you can learn a lot from them. And yeah, like, it's fascinating. And you should totally look into it. On top of doing your research, like, be open to educating yourself, because that's going to be very important. It's much better to work with the truth than it is to work with a bunch of bigoted bullshit. So, do your part. Whatever it is that you can do. Even calling out other people who are racist. And I really appreciate, like, any influencers who still are doing this. Like, it's been really refreshing to see them stand up for their community and actually give a shit about us. And it's really nice. So, like, regardless of whether they're white or not. So, it's been pretty cool. So, white people, let's do better. Okay? And, yeah, to the Black community out there, I see you. I hear you. And I'll do better. Because I have to hold myself accountable for that too. And I'm still learning. I'll try my best. If there's at any point that I do end up saying anything problematic, again, I think I've mentioned this before, but I'll say it again anyway because it's worth saying. If I do something problematic, if I do something that's like, it's, even if I don't intend it, like, if it is something problematic and bigoted, please, you're welcome to tell me. And I want to learn from that. I want to do the best I can. Because I still have a lot to learn. And so does everybody else. Like, we're all constantly learning. So, I'm fine with educating myself. I like learning new things. And, yeah, like, Black Lives Matter. We need to do better. And I think that's all I got to say. Except, thank you for watching, and stay safe, take care of yourselves, and until next time, bye everyone. Bye-bye.